From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another Messy Sunday on Conversation with Trent and Friends, featuring the lovely Coach D. We're talking about don't be a ride or die. Do not be a ride or die. We were talking, Coach D and I were actually talking about this, and she brought the topic on, don't be a ride or die. Well, okay. I wonder where the origin of that saying comes from. So in the 50s, it came from actually biker guys, where they'd rather die. They'd rather ride than die, or ride or die. They'd rather die than ride, whatever it is. Right? And then later on in the 90s, in hip hop, once hip hop ushered in and whatnot, the culture actually took upon themselves to talk about the Bonnie and Clyde and, mimic themselves as the Bonnie and Clyde of the day, the girlfriends of the, Bonnie and the Clydes. To me, that's a stupid analogy. Sorry. But ride or die. Let's talk to Coach D, see what she's talking about. What's going on, lady?
Hey there, how are you?
Pretty good. So ride or die. How's it going with you? Let me connect Instagram here because it's going a little crazy. Go ahead.
I'm fighting whatever germ Xavier brought home, so I'm a little sick today.
Oh, my God.
So excuse me if I cough.
Oh my God.
So kids are little petri dishes of ick. So last week he had a fever and an earache, so I knew I was going to get sick eventually.
Right. Wow. You taking anything for it?
Yeah, I have eardrops and stuff like that. So.
Gotcha. You feeling better?
Good
Still
good
getting
evening,
through.
Alvin.
What up, Al Sal? You can go down and talk to the folks. I'm going to complete this stream here with Instagram. They doing all some crazy stuff here.
Well, sure. What I can do is describe why I thought of this. So I was watching some TikTok videos, because that's what I do when I can't sleep. And they were all talking about this beef between Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Lordy, here we go again. And then, see, when I look at stuff, I look at it a little different than, I think we lost Trent. I look at it a little different than other people. So I look at why they're doing what they're doing and what could be going on behind the scenes. So then I started thinking about all these nonsense beefs that you see, and what is it really just for publicity? Because a lot of it is just for publicity, get clicks and clickbait and all that stuff. And the other thing is, within the music community, there's a lot of songs about ride or die, and it's really about a toxic relationship, like sticking with somebody no matter what, being loyal no matter what. Like, there are women in jail who took charges because they deemed that themselves to be a ride or die. And I don't know how much you gotta love somebody, but taking charges for somebody is a little bit going beyond. So this is why it's toxic, because you're giving somebody their all, and then they're just taking. And then when you don't have anything else to give, then there's nothing left to take, and then they move on to the next ride or die.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. They're talking about the ride or dies and what have you and whatnot. And like I was explaining to her, I was like, I don't want you, dying for me. If I truly care about you, I don't want you dying for me. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, because people, they wear that as a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. People wear that, I'm your ride or die. No, I don't want you to die. That's not good at all. Go ahead. Are you there? I think she froze up on me, folks. Are you there?
Yeah.
Got you. You froze up a little bit, but we're good.
Well, yeah. Both things went on my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? The whole loyal beyond measure. Really think about why that is. Like,
Right.
think about the trauma behind doing anything anybody wants just so they'll love you.
Right. Right. Right.
Like when you look at that, you're like, ooh, that's a whole different story, D. That's not just somebody like sticking up for the man. I'm like, no. Like, think about it goes back to having emotionally unavailable parents. So when you have
Right.
emotionally unavailable parents, you'll do whatever you want so that they don't deem you ungrateful, right? So if you
Exactly.
go to a restaurant, you'll eat whatever is ordered for you, right? And it goes
Exactly.
back to the eat what I eat or you go hungry. Because if
Right.
you don't,
Right.
you're
Right.
deemed ungrateful, right? So this leads up, like all this stuff, traditional pairing leads up to unhealthy relationships in the future.
Right.
So,
One
you know,
second, D. 1 second, D.
yeah.
For the folks who's actually looking for us on Instagram, they're actually having technical issues over there on their end. So we're streaming strictly through YouTube and the platform at this point. So sorry for you guys to actually went over to Instagram to check us out, but they're having technical issues. They've been dealing with that all day. But back to the show. Show must go on.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with this ride or die, like I was saying, I was talking to a friend of mine talking about this thing, and it's like, why you think women, more importantly, women, they wear that as a badge of honor when this stuff takes place? Why do you think that? When you talk about, oh, I've been with you for years and I've been holding you down, and well, what do you get out of that? Why do you do that?
Because if those same women don't, those men will say, "You haven't been holding me down. You're not building me up. You're not there for me." That's why I say it's a toxic relationship. It's all about giving and taking.
Right, right.
Right? The reason they
Mm,
stay is because their self-esteem has been so beaten down by this. If you don't do this, you don't love me. If you don't do this, you don't love me. If you don't do this, you don't love me. And nine,
And when you find a guy saying something like that, that's a huge red flag for insecurities.
mm-hmm,
That's a huge red flag for manipulation and everything that goes along with it.
yeah. And then something will happen. They'll gaslight her into her being the reason that it happened.
Right,
Okay? They get pulled over. They get caught with drugs, and they're on probation. Probation. They got a gun in the car. Well, it's her
right.
fault for not hiding the gun.
So after when I started digging on the origins of this, it became real popular in the '90s with
Mm-hmm,
the rappers.
mm-hmm.
When the urban culture ushered it in, and mimicking Bonnie and Clyde from the Bonnie and Clyde story and whatnot.
It's been
That's
in
what
all
made it
cultures.
popular.
It's been in all cultures. It's just not the terminology's changed.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I could
read
agree
country
with that.
music, singing country music all the time,
Right,
right? 80s, 90s country music is about women not being my ride or dies, about women taking back their power. Maybe
right,
like
right,
I'm a country girl, so I love country music. The women of
right.
the 90s in country music, completely different from what it is now.
Exactly.
Right?
Martine, hey Martine, favorite
Hey, Miss
Detroiter.
Martine, congrats to your daughter on getting her real estate license. She says, I don't say ride or die for anything as it pertains to a romantic union. Yep, because it's toxic. It's very toxic, right? And people are
Absolutely,
like, well, you
absolutely.
could be a ride or die for her. I'm like, it never works that way.
Yeah, as I was saying, as far as I've never looked up on that as being something positive. That she's ride with me until ride or die. No, that don't even sound right, in my opinion. That don't
Mm.
even sound right. Like, nah, don't do that for me. Don't do that. Because if you care about a person, you're not gonna want them going through a tumultuous time trying to ride for you. Get your shit together, man.
Yeah, but see, 90s black exploitation movies made it popular.
Is that right?
The struggle love, yes.
Yeah, we did. We did it. We
If you
did.
look
Didn't
at the
we do
black
a podcast
exploitation
last
movies,
year on struggle love?
Yeah, if you look at the I can't say it now, blaxploitation movies of the 90s, it's not about
Right.
healthy relationships.
No, not at
Not
all, to
at
be honest
all,
with you. Yeah,
right? When you
not at
say
all.
ride or die, that means you're down for whatever. Yeah. Like why would you go to jail for somebody? Like
Exactly.
that's why I tell people don't do mental labor for somebody else. They have to do their own mental labor and do their own work. You
Right.
can't do it for them. Don't build
I mean,
anybody up.
in my opinion, if he or she is asking you to do whatever, as a, you got to look a little deeper. If he or
Mhm.
she is asking you to do whatever, and they pushing you and forcing you, trying to get you to see it their way so you could go along with them, run quick.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Exactly.
There are limits to what should be required. Right? There's
Absolutely,
healthy
man.
limits and there's unhealthy limits. Like there's
Exactly.
a difference between moving cross country because somebody got a job
Right.
and moving because somebody hasn't been paying their bills for 6 months, even though they told you they were, and you had got evicted for the fifth time.
Exactly.
Right? Two
My
different
thing,
things.
man, with the whole ride or die thing, you know, and especially in this climate, but people been like that for ages.
Hmm.
People change their mind in a millisecond. People will change their mind in a millisecond. So, you're riding it down with these folks and going all out for them. Next week, their mind's completely changed. They're on to the next one, on to the next one. So I wouldn't even place myself in a position like that to, be that crutch for that person talking about a ride or die. Nah, you had to get it out the mud, player.
I'm just looking at
I'll pull you up out the mud. I'll even wash you off. But you got to put your clothes on.
and Martine said Pam Grier did it for Richard Pryor and ruined her lady parts forever. What was that about?
I remember the movie, but I don't remember the name. She also says,
1 second.
all right, go ahead.
I'm looking up. It says what happened to Pam Grier. Tumultuous.
Again, sorry guys for if you guys try to tune in on Instagram, we couldn't connect tonight with those folks. Lost the stream key to it, so and they won't even allow you to go back re-enter the stream key. So my apologies. Blame me if you looking at us. Try to find us on Instagram.
Oh,
Truly,
cervical cancer.
my apologies. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, she had cervical cancer.
Oh, she had cervical cancer?
Oh, she said Richard Pryor put cocaine in her lady bits.
Oh, wow. In the movie, right? In the movie, right?
No,
Huh?
that's what in her memoir. Yeah, in her book. Yeah.
Okay. Someone's asking a question. Question coming. They can't comment. So they're asking about the loyalty to parents and brothers and sisters. They're asking, you must have mentioned that when I disconnected.
What loyalty?
You said something about loyalty to parents
Yeah, don't
and
be.
brothers and
If they're
sisters.
toxic, they're toxic. There's absolutely no reason to be loyal to anybody if they're toxic and harmful and abusive. We need
Okay.
to normalize walking away from abusive, toxic people.
Absolutely.
People are like,
Absolutely.
oh, but they gave birth to you. I'm like, you didn't choose to be born. That was a choice they make. They also made the choice to be abusive. You need to protect
Right.
yourself and walk away.
Yeah,
No.
but that's kind of hard for people when it's a family member or, something like that, or someone they're supposed to be in love with, and that person is being very abusive and whatnot. It become kind of, a hard bridge to climb and a hard road to travel and walking away from these folks.
Well, it's because
But
we
I
need to
get what
break
you're saying.
it.
Go ahead.
The road isn't that hard. The problem is that other people guilt people when they do it.
What does that look like?
So, say you're I was just talking to somebody who was on hospice the other day, and they didn't want their parents to come to say goodbye to them because they want their last days to be peaceful, and their parents have never brought them peace in their life. And I said, they don't need to be there, right? And the hospice nurse is like, yeah, no, they don't need to be there.
So you actually gave them the advice that you don't need to be there.
Yeah, they don't need to be there. This woman is dying. Her parents haven't contacted her in 8 years. They disowned her because she's gay, and now they want to come back and ask her for her forgiveness because she's dying. No,
oh, wow.
They had 8 years to ask for forgiveness for disowning her. Let the woman die in peace. You don't need to come in there and with your mess and try to beg for forgiveness.
It takes a very strong person to do that. You know that, right?
To what? To say no?
To say no. To say no to if they've been in that type of situation that all their life, it's gonna be hard for them to tell a person no. It's gonna be hard, very hard, because they hadn't pulled that trigger before. It's gonna be hard for them to do it.
Here's the thing: once people make that decision and move away, it's easy not to go back.
I agree. I agree with you on that. But it's hard. Like, everybody's not built like Trent. Everybody's not built like Dee. So it'll take some time. It'll definitely take some time for them. But I get your point.
I'm not free of it. I still allow my parents to guilt me all the time. My mother has dementia. She was not a kind woman in her younger years. She's definitely not kind now. Like, she deleted me on Facebook and then called me up and yelled at me for deleting her. I'm like, I didn't delete you. You did that, ma'am.
Yeah, give her a pass.
It took me. No, sir. We do not give abusive people passes.
So wait a minute. This is after the dementia she deleted you, or before?
Yeah, she's in the early stage of dementia. Yeah, but you don't give people passes. You still have to hold people accountable. There's a difference accountability with a dementia, but you still cannot allow somebody to abuse you.
I gotta agree with that, but it's still at some point. I mean, come on, the lady has dementia.
She's not.
Slash says, what's that? What up, Slash?
Grand Rising Melanated peeps, greeting from Princess Coach D and Mr. Epic. I gotta get caught up on Martine's comments.
Go ahead.
Okay, she said, yes, thank you. I'm proud. That was referencing her daughter getting her real estate license. The I do anything for you now. I love myself in real life. Smuggled drugs for him in plastic rubber, busted in real life. He put it in her, crazy. Don't use the word loyalty. It's taken an entirely new meaning these days. And then Martine just said, head mark. Yeah, so here's the thing. And you just tried to do it to me. Guilting people for saying no.
Wait, what you say?
Don't be trying to walk it back down. It's a prime example of what people do to people who are trying to move away from toxic family members.
I get it. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
You saw it in real life.
Wait, what you said?
I told them they just saw it in real time.
Yeah. I get it. So did you answer the viewers' question on the parents and let's see.
Yep, normalize walking away.
Gotcha.
Don't ever allow anybody, no matter who they are, to cause harm to you.
You have to,
sometimes family is chosen.
You got to master the art of saying goodbye, man. You have to. And for some folks, it's tough. It takes a while for them, but once you master it, smooth sailing from there.
You don't even have to say goodbye. Change your phone number, block all those numbers, and move on. Go no contact.
So the ride or die, repeat for the folks who just coming in. Why is that a trauma response, and why is that toxic?
So ride or die is toxic because it's a very transactional. It's somebody who is giving everything they have to give to be loved in return. But they're not truly being loved. They're just being taken advantage of. And then when they no longer have anything to give, that person will move on to the next ride or die.
Right.
So it's very toxic. And I will, till the day I die, tell people to stay away from toxic. Right?
I agree. I totally agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Definitely. But
Slash says the good book says honor thy mother and thy father. I'm a ride with that. All right, so sir, the good book says that you can sell your child into slavery. The good book said that I should be stoning my neighbor who's cheating on his wife. The good book says a lot of things that we don't do. And if you're going to honor the mother and father that has been abusing you, then you're abusing yourself. So don't ever tell somebody who's being abused mentally, physically, emotionally, financially to stay with somebody who's doing that to them. Because that makes you a toxic person as well.
Slash says, sounds like conditional love.
Conditional love. All love has conditions. A condition to not be hurt. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You want people to put up with being abused?
Now, I would. Now, we're going to slightly disagree. I'll agree to disagree with you on all love is conditioned. There's some people that can love unconditionally. There's a ton of people who don't know how to love unconditionally.
There's always conditions. Even those of us who think we're the most healed, wait for it. Even those of us who think we are the most healed person.
Folks, we're 23 minutes into the show. I thought it was going to be a little later. That she and I disagree on something here, but coming in early. But I totally disagree on.
Listen? Are you going to listen to the reason, or are you just going to talk over me?
Go ahead.
So the reason there is no such thing as unconditional love is because we as humans always have conditions on everything. In order to love that person initially, there were conditions on who they were and what they did in order for you to love them. Think about that.
I get it, but I'm going to agree to disagree.
Right.
Because there are folks who has the ability to love someone unconditionally. How I know? Because I've done it. But
until they did something that no longer worked for you, and then there became a condition on it.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Until something didn't work for you anymore, then there became conditions. There's always conditions. We're human.
I get your point. But here's the thing. You still could, I truly believe that you still could love a person even when you're not with them any longer. You're just loving them from afar. You don't have to, it doesn't have to have any friction in it. But I truly believe that people can love unconditionally if they try. A ton of people have a hard time loving unconditionally. Slightly because they don't love themselves. That's just my opinion.
Here's the thing. Loving unconditionally means that you're willing to put up with anything.
That's not true.
That's not true. Because there's no conditions.
You can love a person unconditionally and walk away. You can love a person and walk away from them.
But that's not unconditional.
Like, I love you, but I'm going to love you from over there.
Then that's a condition.
Have a nice life.
That's a condition that's just been put on the love. There's no such thing. Because there are conditions. They may be subtle, they may be unconscious, they may be subconscious, but there are conditions. You just mentioned one. That if they do something, then you walk away.
You have to, but that doesn't, just because a person, let's keep it a buck. Just because a person, wrongs you, that means their love gonna go away right away? No.
Yes, people do.
The love don't go away that quick.
It will
because
go
if
away,
I love you, Dee, I love you. It doesn't matter if you've wronged me. If I loved you once. So that don't mean.
But that doesn't mean you still love them. There's people I love that I would never say I love them again, because that condition no longer exists. Once you break that emotional bond with somebody, then Now my question is, why aren't you breaking emotional bonds with people that are no longer in that relationship status with you? That's an issue.
You telling me there's no such thing as unconditional love? That's what you're saying?
There's always conditions because we're human.
I disagree.
There's no human being so elevated in this world that they do not want to have. Even Jesus had conditions on love, for crying out loud.
But my whole point is, you telling me so we don't have the capability of loving someone unconditionally? That's what you're saying?
No, because we're human.
Ladies and gentlemen, I disagree with Coach D.
All right, whatever.
Totally disagree.
All right, let's move on to the notes. Martine says, no, Trent. I wouldn't honor anyone because they're elder or because they birthed me now. Sounds like Mark
Let's get
says
to Paula.
self-conditional love. Oh,
Let's get to Paula real quick. Got a new viewer here.
scrolling
Appreciate
down.
you, Paula.
Yeah. It says, no, I think you can love a person as a human being. You can see and appreciate the beauty in them, even though you choose not to be with them. But you guys are all mentioning conditions. If you're choosing not to be with them, you made a condition. There's a condition on why you're no longer with them.
I get your point. I get that point, but for you to say that there's no unconditional love, I just don't agree with that. Because I've experienced that before.
Okay, where is it now?
Say again now?
Where is it now?
I still love them unconditionally, but I'm not around them and they're not around me. So you call that a condition?
So you're loving them on your own, and they're not loving you back.
I'm not interested in love. See, that's where the unconditional love comes in, right? Think about that. So that's a condition that, I'll love you unconditionally if you love me unconditionally back. Come on, man.
But here's the question:
if you truly love someone, I'm not worried about that, and I'll make the decision to walk away if you don't love me the same. If it's an imbalanced love, I'll make the decision to walk away. But just what you just said, you put conditions on that.
Is it love or is it compatibility that makes them your friends, that you care about them? There's a difference between loving somebody and care about somebody. You can care about people without loving them.
Paula's talking about the parent thing here.
I would honor a parent and allow them to see me if I were dying. Healing is such a blessing and beautiful thing, even if my life is nearly over. So, in my example, and let me ask you all this. In my example, those parents raped her, sold her for drugs to other men, neglected her, starved her, beat her, burned cigarette ashes in her skin, and beat her regularly with sticks. That woman got away from the most horrific childhood ever, and you're telling me that she should allow them into her life at the end of her life when she has lived in peace for the last 8 years. Why?
So let me ask you something.
Why would you try to force that woman to deal with that on her deathbed?
So she was in hospice or something? Or was she in hospice?
Yeah, she's dying.
Was she alert?
She's alert now, but she probably has maybe a couple weeks left.
Yeah. Let's get to Mark real quick.
No, I want to know why. So you think she should allow them into her life?
It's her decision.
Yeah, and she said no. Yet
so she did say no. So she said no. That's her decision, and they should honor that.
But
if she said no, they should honor that.
Yes, and everybody's like, well, you need to honor your mother and father. Those are your parents, blah, 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 blah. That's what society does. When somebody says no, they do not want this person in their life, they try to force you and guilt you.
She pretty much, what she said, she didn't want to see them. Well, well, they should honor that.
Yeah, but people have this idealized idea that all parents are good, or all parents are like their parents, because they live through a perception of their perception, so they don't see what is maybe going on outside their little bubble.
Right.
It's easy to say honor thy mother and thy father if you got great parents. David would say that, but
he's posing a question toward me. He says, "Well, comment." What's he saying?
Mr. Epic, even towards you, sir, the example is never the rule.
So you agreeing with Dee about the unconditional love? That's what you're saying? We disagree with both of you tonight.
Yeah, he said, first time this year I agree with Coach D. Love is a conditional gold star.
I totally disagree. I'm sorry, folks. I disagree with that. Because it takes a ton to have unconditional love for someone who's actually wronged you. It takes a ton. It doesn't mean that I'm harboring, toxic feelings or a trauma response or anything like that. But when you love a person unconditionally, that's just what it is. There's no conditions on it. That's what it is. And you could actually move on and still love them unconditionally from afar.
Remember, do you not remember what we had the conversation a couple of weeks ago about letting go? You need to let
Get
go.
it. Just because you love a person unconditionally don't mean you holding on. How was that? Explain, please.
Because if you are still loving unconditionally people who are no longer in your circle, why? There's a trauma response to holding on to people.
Just because you love a person don't mean you're holding on to them. You could love people from afar, D. You could love people from afar. To me, what's trauma is people holding on to it, saying that, oh no, I can't love them. I mean, you wish them well and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. But that's not really unconditional, though.
I saw Hopey was streaming on Instagram here to get those guys involved, but
Martin
maybe
says,
next week, folks, the stream was jacked up. Paul's coming back one more time.
I cannot act like I love mean, nasty, persecution, no matter what. Heck no, no way. Right, that's goofy. Just the same as respecting your elders simply because they're older than you. I have no conditions all day, every day. So Paul says, okay, I hear you, Coach D, but what about redemption? Can a toxic redemption relationship be transformed? Redemption? Okay. So what you want people to is allow toxic, abusive people back into their lives on the fairy tale that they've redeemed themselves with absolutely no evidence of any redemption.
Ursula's asking, Ursula, do you want to come on or not? You want to come on? You come through. I know you have a couple of questions.
Yeah, come on, Ursula. Nah, Coach D, I said I'm writing for Honor Thy Mother for me. I'm not suggesting any life choices for anyone else. God bless the lady in hospice. Yeah, I agree, Slash. But you probably have a good relationship.
You know what? First of all, how much Kool-Aid you and Slash and drink tonight? Because I can't believe this.
I don't drink Kool-Aid.
I can't believe this.
You know that.
I know.
I've had it once in my life.
We're gonna circle back around maybe a couple of weeks to this unconditional love thing.
Are you gonna get Ursula in there?
Yeah, it was. Hey, Ursula, let me know if you won't come through.
After they moved on, or after you'd set them on their way. You can still like them. You can still care for them.
So let me ask you something. So you're telling me, you're telling me, right? If you once loved the person, okay? And if you genuinely love that person before the wrongdoing or whatever it was, right? So you're telling me that love just vanishes right away once that bump in the road comes?
This is why I tell people. This is why I always tell people to heal from one relationship before moving on to the next, so you can end that emotional attachment.
I get what you're saying,
but that emotional attachment includes love.
I'm asking you a question. So you're telling me once the wrong takes place, once that person actually offends you, does the love stop right away? That's what you're saying? You're saying it should stop right away?
No, I said you have to heal, and that when you're healing, you will let that love go.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but I still stand 10 toes down on there is people who can actually love unconditionally.
Where are these unicorns? Because
there's right here. You look at him every week.
Conditions, sir. There's always conditions.
D.
Flash says, I don't drink any Kool-Aid either. And Martine says, yeah, I may revisit a memory here and there.
Isn't that something? Or shoot me a text if you want to come through, because I know you got a plethora of questions. So shoot me a text and I'll send you a link to come in.
Ursula, can you come on? You have Slash in the link. I said, after I'm done with the person, my energy feelings have shifted. Yeah, because you have to let go. You have to break that emotional bond.
Exactly. I'm agreeing with you guys on letting go. But here's the thing. Think about this, right? And truly, I want you guys to really think about this. Once you tell a person you love them, and once you've expressed that, once you showed it through action, it's going to take some time for that. It's going to take a ton of healing for that. But once you get rid of the anger, And once you release all that stuff, you still love that person unconditionally. I.e., example, I'll give you an example here. Chapter the Delta, shameless plug. I loved her. I completely loved her unconditionally. But I had to it took me 8 years to get past that foolishness. I was holding myself back, holding that trauma. Everything that she did, I was holding that in. But once I released myself from that, I'm done with that. And she and I are cool. We're real cool. And I still love her at a certain point. Not like that. Not in a romantic way, but I don't want anything to take place in her life and bring harm to her. Yeah, I mean, you can't walk around with a bitter mouth. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not talking about being bitter. I'm talking about you can care for somebody and not love them. If you moved on, you're not truly loving them or in love with them, but you do still care
I get
for
your
them.
point. There you go.
And
okay, now we're agreeing on that. We're agreeing.
Read chapter 3 and call me when you're done. When I get the book out, because you'll be like, you'll be in your feelings.
Shameless plug. Say that. Hey, plug your book right there. Shameless plug. We plugging books tonight. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm still working on it, but it's my book's called The Journey Back to You. So it's a book and workbook all in one. So it's going to have meditation exercises and journals.
What I read was phenomenal. Good stuff.
Yeah. So
real good stuff. Slash says he coming in disagreeing all night.
Slash says people fall in and out of love. Only my mama loved me unconditionally. Yeah. Not all mamas do though, man. Not all mamas do. Like I would kill if I would go to jail for Xavier. I would kill for him. Right? But not all mamas are like that. Right? Like I would kill if somebody happened to somebody else's baby, but it's not everybody's like that. We look at the news all too often and you see how many horrible parents there are out there.
I think Slash got it in for me tonight. What's going on, Slash?
Yeah. So, Mr. Epic, do you not ask for the house and car keys back, the checkbook and the savings after the love is gone?
No, I don't. Actually, I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any of that. First of all, we through the divorce. I mean, our divorce took a while because we acquired some things over the years. But yeah, I didn't ask for a lot of stuff back. Nah, because once I give it to him, that's what it is. It's hers to keep. Whatever I purchased for her, that was hers to keep. That means if I'm taking it back from her, that means I didn't mean it in the first place, right?
Oh, that's a whole
to me personally, now that's a trauma response right there. Taking something back, something that you gave someone. Isn't it not, D?
Oh, sir, go tell every opening of every divorce court trial in the United States if that's what that is. You wouldn't make it as a building.
Nah, I mean, and honestly, like, and I'll get a little transparent here. We didn't go through the drama of, we're fighting over, tangible things. We didn't do that. My issue with her was the cheat.
Yeah. People
get the tangible stuff, I wasn't even worried about that.
Yeah. People get very angry because on the other side of love is anger. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Because
true.
A lot of people get into their feelings.
True.
Right? And
let's dig a little deep into this ride or die. Let's talk about these people who holds this as a badge and honor and I give you guys an example after I say what I say. Hold that as a badge and honor, right? I remember I was reading an article where the rapper Remy Ma out of New York I went to prison for I want to say 5 to 10 years or something, 9 years or whatever it was. And her boyfriend, Papoose, held her down the entire time. Right? She gets out, they have a baby, they get married. She cheats, now she's on with somebody else. And you put all your eggs in that basket. Everybody commended him. Oh, he's a ride or die. He stayed down with her while she was incarcerated and all that stuff. You placed all your you placed all your eggs in that basket. Now she disrespects you and cheats on you with a younger guy. Again, like I said on the opening of the piece, Ride or die is foolishness. Ride or die for the culture, some bullshit. Point blank, period. That's foolish, man. People change their mind every day, sometimes daily. Waking up, changing their mind. Go to bed with one thing, wake up with another. So why would you even do a ride or die? Makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, somebody emailed me a question. Well, people are upset.
They're upset. They're attacking Trent like that.
They're not. They're upset about the honor of the mother and the father. And I said that.
What I say? What's she say? What's she say?
Ursula says, but you see, genuine love hasn't existed in years.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you guys, but it takes a special person to love someone unconditionally. It takes a very special person. It takes a person who's, elevated to love a person unconditionally. And you don't have, just because I love you unconditionally does not mean I have to be romantically involved with you.
Even God puts conditions on his love.
I get what you're saying.
All right. Martine says, now I'm not a ride or die sister. Yes, he ruined his would-be career running back and forth for her. She didn't really care for.
The guy ruined his entire career.
Yeah.
Ruined his entire career on a Jezebel.
So here's the thing. And you'll have the exact opposite where you had Gucci Mane who gave was it Keisha his last $2 million?
She gave her like $3 million, right?
And she gave him back double it. So here's the thing. It's when people are toxic and they're take, right, and you're stuck in that circle, it's a generational trauma because you've seen it. That's the only relationship.
Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
Right? So that's the relationship that you know. So when people tell me that it's a good thing, I'm like, why do you think it's a good thing? They're like, well, that's what I saw. I'm like, okay, so you grew up with unhealthy relationships.
Exactly. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes. This is why people accept the things that they accept from people. Mm-hmm. Like if he's shitting on you the entire time, apparently somebody's shitting on you in your past life. Yeah. Down the line in your past.
Usually your parents.
What I'm saying? So you have to recognize this stuff, man. When people talking about why you can't ride or die for me, that's a toxic trait. If a man truly loves you, he don't want you riding and dying for him. Yeah. He don't want you dying for him. Not a real man. I don't want you dying for me. Dying is a bad thing.
Well, here's the thing. People get so caught up in this, especially when it comes to parents, about respect your elders. And I remember how I told you about Xavier once told me I'm the best mommy ever for something. And I said, I'm your only mommy. And he said, that doesn't make you the best. And I think that's absolutely hilarious because he's very articulate in his feelings, right? I mentioned that at a speaking engagement, and people were like aghast that I will allow him to talk to me like that. And I'm like, you'll have some unhealthy requirements of people.
Yeah, give him some room to be himself.
Yeah. So, lots of comments. 1 second. Slash says he's not the first cat to get cheated on. The game is cold but fair. That way, there's more riders than those willing to die. Besides, that's just a phrase like keeping it real. Yeah, it's toxic, is what it is.
Exactly.
Like, there's always going to be somebody else that's going to really.
We talked about the origins of that phrase, Slash, when I opened up. We talked about that, where it came from the bikers in the 50s. You know what I'm saying? They rather die. They have to ride. They want to ride. And if they can't ride, they'd rather die, which is foolish. Yeah, then in the 90s, in hip-hop culture, they took the whole thing from Bonnie and Clyde, talking about ride or die. They need a ride or die. I don't want nobody dying for me because I'm not going to die for you, period.
Martine said, I've read about that relationship, but don't listen to their music. Pain travels. Some people aren't ever sure what ride or die means. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, to me, ride or die, the only ride or die that I agree with is people in dangerous situations.
Right.
Like soldiers, people in the military, people in the fire.
I'll give you an example.
Those are who will stick by your back
no
matter what. Yeah.
You're right, and you're right. I'll give an example of what these young folks call ride or die, right? I'll give you an example of a loyal person. When I fell ill, as you know the story, D, I wasn't home. I was at an ex-girlfriend's house. And you hear what I'm saying, folks? An ex-girlfriend's house. I was hanging out with an ex-girlfriend and I fell ill, literally bleed on the brain right there in her bathroom. Right there in her bathroom. My mother was gone. My brother was gone. There was no one to care for me. My kids lived away. This girl got me to the hospital, took care of me until I could actually walk again. That's the difference. That's the difference. We talking about loyalty. We talking about loyalty. That to me, there was loyalty, but it was more compassion than anything.
To me, she's a decent human being.
There you go. But when you talk, I didn't expect her to do that. Didn't know she was gonna do it, but she did it. She did it. But I don't look at her as, oh, that's my ride or die. Nah, that was a compassionate human being. Saw me in a situation and took the bull by the horns and ran with it. Simple as that. Would I do the same? Yes. But you got a lot of folks out there that won't do that. So again, if you're talking about riding or dying and give me a ride or die, nah. You shouldn't be me talking like that.
I think a lot of people don't realize what healthy relationships looks like.
Thank you.
So when somebody calls them a ride or die, they think that's a good thing because they don't have the background of what a good thing is.
Exactly.
So then when you have to go in and look at their relationship type, are they an insecure relationship? Are they a secure relationship? What is their background? There's so much that goes into figuring out who you are and your relationship style that until you do, you're very susceptible to very toxic relationships.
Right.
Because you don't know what healthy relationships are. Because you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself. Right? Until you have a healthy relationship with yourself, you can't have a healthy relationship with anybody else.
That's right. And it takes a ton, man. It takes a ton of work to get yourself out of your own way.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a ton of work, and it's hard work. It's hard work. How I know? Because I've done that. I was in my way for many moons.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a ton of work, but you have to face yourself, man, to not accept this thing of being pressured into being a ride or die.
Right.
But if you accepting that, there's still more work to do, man. If you actually, giving into that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a ton of work for that inward mirror to go inward.
Slash says, I want to ride or die like Eve. The Black Panther in Oakland used that phrase also, based upon them dealing with the popo.
I do not want to ride or die. I don't want to ride or die. Just have a little compassion would go a long way.
Mm-hmm. So it's, I think a lot of people get caught up in pulp culture, especially today being the Grammys are on. There's so many nonsense that's involved.
Exactly.
That people think is real life, that a lot of time it's fabricated for publicity.
Exactly.
Right? And so people watch what's going on with stars and they're like, oh, they're horrible people. I'm like, look at the British royal family. When it came up that all the houses, the different groups were making up bad stories to get their people out of the press.
Right.
And people believe everything that's told to them.
Exactly.
There was a study I saw somewhere that 86% of people don't do their own research.
Exactly.
They just
what's so crazy? And you're right, Martine. I see what you're saying. That programming. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely programming. But I was thinking about this the other day, right? If everyone's following, who's leading?
It's the same people who's always been leading, the ones with all the money.
You know what I'm saying? If everyone's following, who's actually doing the leading?
Well, look at media. Media, there's a very small group that owns all the media.
And it's controlled. It's definitely controlled.
It's a very small group. And when you look at media outside the United States about stuff going on in the United States, it's a completely different view. It's amazing. And one thing, I was watching the news today, and they were talking about people who went, the Texas convoy, We went to the border to see all the illegals
that.
storming the walls. And this lady gets her, she goes, it's not at all like I saw a couple of people, but it's not like what I thought
Nothing
it
they have
was.
is not happening like that. Yeah.
I'm like, that's because you believe all the nonsense you're told, man.
Slash says,
Slash Jacking, as a black man, driving by yourself can be a ride or die stitch. Yeah. That's a whole different conversation, sir.
that's a whole different conversation. And Slash, I know that firsthand about riding alone. But hey, we build different. We definitely build different. So
yeah,
I don't mind taking the wheel, riding it off, doing it by myself.
Listen, I've never been more worried in a drive than when I brought my new car home. At night, I had to drive through Baltimore with paper plates. Not because I was driving through Baltimore. I have no problem driving through Baltimore.
Hey, you're a black woman driving alone.
No, it's the police. The police in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Listen, I've driven through Baltimore. I drove through Baltimore when the riots happened with Xavier going to the zoo. I got stuck behind a protest, and the gentleman in the protest, he turned around, he saw me with a sleeping baby. Do you know what those gentlemen did? They moved aside and warned everybody coming up to be quiet because there's a lady with a sleeping baby. That's how horrible Baltimore is. You know what I mean? Like people want. It's why America does not have universal health care, because they don't want people that look like us to get something for free. They will vote like the lady in Texas who had to go to court for the abortion that was because she was issues, the baby wasn't going to live, all that stuff, right?
Right.
She voted for the law that made it impossible for her to get health care.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, and it's ridiculous. So when people tell me there's like, we are so messed up that so often we believe what we've been taught without thinking about it, right? So when people like, oh, Dee, you got to honor your parents. No, you don't. You can walk away. You don't have to talk to your sister for the rest of your life if they're a horrible person, right? There are a lot of horrible people out there. And you need to protect who you are and protect your mental, emotional well-being.
Exactly.
Right? Don't ever allow anybody. What? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying, don't ever allow anybody to bully you into being put in a situation where you can be abused. End of story.
We got 5 minutes to the hour. Let's take care of some business real quick. For the folks on Instagram, if you guys are, jumped over to the platform or jumped over to YouTube, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We couldn't get connected to Instagram tonight. I guess the stream key broke, so it wouldn't allow me to actually restream it over there. So I do apologize. We do apologize for that. We'll definitely see you guys on next Sunday for another Messy Sunday.
Next Sunday, Super Bowl, sir? Super Bowl? The Super Bowl next week.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Yeah.
We can do Saturday next week, but not Sunday.
Yeah. We can record it. Let's do it. Let's record on Saturday. Maybe we'll do it live on Saturday.
We can do live on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it Saturday.
Also, we and I watch the Super Bowl together. We that is a date every year. We do not interrupt anything for it.
Gotcha. Also, the new platform for the TK Shop is the TK Shop.bio. You can grab the quotes. You can grab all the quote T-shirts, the sweatshirts, all that stuff. Digital downloads on the quotes and all that good stuff. TK Shop, the TK Shop.bio, the TK Shop.bio. You get the media kit for the people with different abilities and all that good stuff. The nonprofit is actually moving forward and helping these folks out as far as, people with different abilities like myself, walking them into a better life. So the TKShop.bio is a spot for the media kit for that as well. So good stuff. And also you can catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, B2G, all that good stuff. There we go. You booked, lady. When is it going to be due? When is it going to be ready?
I have set a end of April for myself.
Okay.
So, because Lent coming up, so it means 40 days of. That's my goal to have it done by the end of Lent.
Gotcha.
But I'm
And
going
yeah,
to warn y'all. Don't
all the other stuff. Where can
don't.
they get that stuff at?
Actually, I'm working on my website right now. I'm going to have a e-shop for some stuff that I got going on, and I'll have a contact page so you can book appointments and all that good stuff. So,
Good stuff.
and
Real
if
good
you're
stuff.
a hater who's just going to try to fill up my thing, I will track you down. So
Good
don't
stuff.
worry.
Good stuff. We truly appreciate you guys for always supporting and what have you, and engaging with us and whatnot. Coach D and I truly appreciate it. It's been about 2 years since I've been back. Bringing the conversation back, and the numbers are moving in the right direction. Really appreciate it. Last checked, it was like 27,600. 27,600. So really appreciate that. They're all in Brazil. So really appreciate it. If you want to see those real numbers, go to the tkshop.bio. You see all the numbers there and whatnot. They're on there for display. So
You said Brazil. Brazil's a popular for us.
actually, Brazil sits number one.
Really,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful country. So
With
I'll
some
take.
beautiful women.
Listen, there's a gas station we go to all the stuff, and the gentleman's Brazilian, and every time I go in, he calls me mama. I'm like, sure.
Right.
He's the sweetest guy.
Yeah,
So
Brazil sits at number one. So Brazil, we really appreciate good stuff there, man. Real good stuff. So to see those numbers, go to the tkshop.bio. And that full number is there in the breakdown of when the countries and all that good stuff. You'll see those numbers and the average and all that stuff. So I think United States down in there somewhere. But the other countries doing very well. France and everybody. So hey, I'll take that. Good
hey,
stuff. Any
listen,
closing remarks?
if we could impact one person for the better, then my job here is done. So that is my one goal, is to
There it
impact
is.
people.
So that straight talk, no chaser, that gumbo talk is something serious, guys. So again, like I said on previous podcasts, we'll step on those toes, but we do it in a loving way, an unconditional way. So,
Whatever.
so we really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. And again, like I always say, Coach D and I, we don't sit on a panel of judges here. We just speak our truth and give it to you raw,
Yeah. We're
the
down
way
in
it
the
should,
trenches
because the
with them,
world is
man.
not going to give it to you easy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I'm gonna say we are down in the trenches with this because neither of us are on a pedestal.
There it is.
If Mr.
There it
Epic
is.
gets
There
on
it
one,
is.
then I'll knock him off pretty quick.
There it is. There it is.
But
So it's good
yeah,
stuff. So we'll come back on Saturday. We'll do a live because the Super Bowl's on Sunday. So we'll do a live show and get that worked out with the Instagram folks with that stream key. Get that taken care of. I'm kind of disappointed that it didn't stream over there because the quality of the microphone and everything over on that side, oh my God, is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
slash wrote something in Spanish. I speak French and German, but not Spanish. I am going to learn it this year, though. That is one of my goals. The only word I know is gracias, and then I
Right.
would ruin the rest of the language. So I like you all, and I don't want you hating me because I can't.
Right. So again, we appreciate you guys, man. It's 8. Kobe needs to walk, and I'm sure little man needs to get ready, right?
Yep, it's time to get ready for school.
Good
Let me take
stuff.
him
Good
off his
stuff. Kobe
computer.
needs to walk. As you can see, Kobe back there, he's actually quiet and cool and not patiently waiting to be walked. So good stuff, man. Until next week, you guys be epic. Coach D, you want to close it out?
Thank you all for coming. I conditionally love all of you. And I look forward to hearing your questions. Send me an email, dee.layler@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Keep an eye on my website. It's just dlayler.com, and I'm going to put lots of good stuff up there for you guys within the next couple of weeks.
Good stuff. You guys take care.
Bye.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedie Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.